guided meditations. So what we will do is basically just like making our minds ready for today. And you don't have to do anything special. I will give you some points to think about. Speak my mind out, but I will keep it in the style of not like this, more like more time to think. And then after we will start the sermon. So you don't need to do anything. You can keep your eyes closed or open as you like. So in life, every day, is another opportunity, is another gift with which we can do something. Every moment is another opportunity to share, to love, to give. To be of service. In this world, if everything happens because of what we have given, if the life we have today is because of what we have given, then we know that our dealing in this world is with the universe. So if we want to achieve something, if we want to attain something, it's all up to us. It's all up to our actions. See if others have something that we don't have, and what point is there in being jealous? What point is there in feeling bad about not having it? We might think that nature likes others more than us. That we are unfortunate we are something is wrong with us. But the truth is not like that. There's nothing wrong with us. And there's also nothing special about others. It's just that they have given something for which they are reaping the rewards. And that is also the only way how we can achieve the same. That is a way which we all have. In this way we are all equal. In this way, nature treats us all the same. We are given this opportunity with every moment. So every moment that we spend looking at others, feeling bad about ourselves, or even feeling proud about ourselves, is actually a moment when we fail to use what we can do. Because pride arises in our mind when we are proud of what we own, proud of who we are. There's a false sense of pride, false sense of ego, when we somehow feel that we are so special, that we deserve all these things. Yes, of course. It is because of karma that we have received this vipaka. It is because of something good that we have received something. But that is the only reason. It's not that we are somehow more special in any other way. And anyone else can get the same. And let us not forget, it has been with many others who made our journey possible all along the way. Everything that you own today has been made possible because of many others. It might be your parents, your spouse, the society. Maybe you think that you drove here to the sermon and it was your decision, it was your doing to come here and to make it here. But certainly, everyone on the streets who drove carefully has also a part to play in that. Whoever has made your breakfast today, whoever has raised you and given you the good views about the world, what is good to do and what is not good to do, these are all people upon which shoulder we stand. We can say that today we are an engineer or a scientist or a teacher or a mother, a good mother, a loving spouse, and this is something that we have done ourselves, but we learned from others all along the way. It was others' influences, teachers, parents, friends. Because for everything that we get in life, it's not just the vipaka that we have done. For example, if my mother cooks a very delicious meal, I might simply say that how much I must have given to receive such a good meal. So we give credit to ourselves. I have given, and that's why I deserve this now. And we fail to see the effort and hard work that our mother has put in to cook this. But for something that we have given, it always needs the right environment to come to fruition, the right environment to bring the results. So if it was not for our loving mother, skilled, dedicated, caring, willing to spend time, sacrificing valuable lifetime, if it was not for her, then that good deed, that good karma would never have come back to us in this way. So we must always see the value of the environment also, and be grateful. Always see that it is always the combination. We can never get anything without giving, because we are not dealing with the world out there, as in we are not dealing with other people and a society the way we like to think. Most of our dealings are just with our own vipakas, our own karmas, with the universe. Everything that happens to us in life is always a reflection of what we have given. It's like we are constantly looking into the mirror. So you can go through your life in the various situations and the way that people react to you, the problems that you have, and see what was at the root of all of it. If you feel pain today, then that is because you have given pain. If you are surrounded by loving people today, and that is because you have given love. And chances are you are doing something right at this moment. There is something that you're doing right, for which you can be proud and grateful. And you can identify what it is that you are doing right, because then you can do more of that, and you can teach others. The path to salvation, the path to happiness, it always starts with this point. What can I do to make a difference for me and for others? It's never what can others do, what should others do, how should others be like. It's always what can I do? What can I change? How can I give more? How can I be of more service? That is not easy. But that's where real, long-lasting changes start to happen. It is always said by our teachers, real victory is in accepting defeat. So the real winner in life is the one who can accept defeat, who can be humble, and as Jesus has said, who can be like a child. Because only when you are a child can you go to heaven. Heaven is actually not a place, heaven is a state of mind. But for this we have to be a child. And the child will always accept its mistakes, because a child would never take himself too seriously. A child always knows that what I know is very little compared to the adults, and in this case, compared to my father. So who's our father? Our father is, of course, the Lord Buddha. He is the father for all of us. And to him we are like children. So then, all that he asks us to do is being a child. Not being foolish, but being honest, having good heart, and step by step practicing what we learn from our Father, but always being willing to adapt, being willing to change, always being willing to see the mistakes that we do. And then this world and our life will be full of opportunities. if you really want to go to Nibbāna, everything in life will be an opportunity for you. There will be no inconveniences. If there is no petrol at the petrol station today, it won't be something which annoys you. It will be something that will teach you a lesson. A very important lesson. And it will make your resolve for the truth, for Nibbāna, more and more stronger. And you will be able to see the suffering which is all around us all the time. The suffering everyone has to deal with constantly. Okay, so you can now open your eyes again. So now, before we go and discuss all these great points that came up, because I think even just thinking about all these things that came up in this contemplation will be spending like 2 hours valuable sermon time. Before we do that, let's chant the Namaskara and observe the 5 precepts. Okay? So, let us make the resolve that we are here to follow in the footsteps of our Father, Lord Buddha. And chant the Namaskara to pay our homage to the Perfect One, our Lord Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. When you think about the fact that we are all in our minds constantly in vexation, right? Constantly there are things that we have to do, and this burden of the future that's lying on our shoulders, and then all the things that we have to manage. So I was thinking about this when I was giving when I thought about this example. Everyone who is standing in the queue, it will always be something, an inconvenience for all of them. For everyone, for all of us. But at least, if this situation, if you as someone who sincerely wants to attain Nibbāna, then when you are standing in front of that petrol station and things like that happen, let's say, you might still suffer at that moment. But the way you will deal with that will be different. Because you might be able to complain to the politicians. You might be able to complain to the company, to the workers in the petrol station. They are the very least. They have the very least to be complain to actually. Because they are in a very unfortunate situation. Because they also have bills to pay, and they also have to get through the day. So then that is the choice that they have. That's the work that they can do. And it's a very hard work and sometimes a dangerous work. I don't know whether it's dangerous because of the cars or because of the people. Which one is more dangerous? Who can explode quicker? The fuel in the tanks or the people's minds? So they have to bear that. And I know that from my experience living in life, it mostly happens that we all and people take their anger out and the blame out on innocent ones. It could be the people at the petrol station. But see, if we try to change our lenses, there are so many aspects which are good to think about. See, now for us to not be able to get any petrol, if we apply this logic that we have, so some of you have not been here, the first part of our program today, we have done a small meditation, and we talked about a guided meditation. So what we have talked about there was a little bit coming to this awareness that everything in life is an opportunity, every moment is an opportunity that we are given by nature, and as much as it is an opportunity, it's also a vipaka, so that means it's the result of something that we have done. So seeing our experiences in life, that means the people that we deal with, the conflicts we have with others, as well as the things we are blessed with. That could be money, it could be love, a loving family, a loving daughter, son, mother, father, and it could be blessed with education, it could be blessed with some talents that you have, and sometimes talents is not something we even know that we have it. Isn't that funny? I mean, I never came to this world and wanted to become a mathematician. I always thought that I should become I should know many languages. So my father and mother, they always pushed me to learn languages when I was a kid. But when I went to school and then I was asked to do mathematics, I realized, I can do this really well. I don't know why. So sometimes maybe if you are asked to dance, if you are asked to draw pictures, if you are asked to maybe do some like walking on a rope, you might realize that you are so good in this, so you might not even know all the talents that you actually have. And so all these things, the blessing as well as the curses in life, see them as a mirror. Seeing them as a mirror of your own actions. That is the only place to start anything in life, and starting this path as well. That is already the point which most people in the world completely fail to start. And that's why all these discussions about inequality and equality, whether that is, I'm not saying it is bad or it's good. Actually, it's good to discuss equality questions in various ways. Man, woman inequality, and equality between races and religions, and all these things are good. And in a country like Sri Lanka, where many different religions are there. Surely we need a political system just as much as in any other country, which is fair, yes. But the thing is, as much as that is our ambition, see, when you look at life from this point of view, life will never be fair, right? So I recently watched, because of language learning, I'm learning. When I was learning French, I saw in South Africa, for example. South Africa was a country where the black people were so much discriminated in the past, and then Nelson Mandela came. You might know him, and everyone was really hopeful that things will change when he comes. And he had good intentions, and definitely he did a great job. I mean, he did something really extraordinary. But when in this video they showed that even 30 years after Nelson Mandela, nothing really has changed in South Africa. Discrimination is still high, and inequality is still very high. So when you go to one suburb, you will find mostly white people are living there in very luxurious places, and on the other side of the street, mostly black people are living, and they are living in a very much worse conditions. Now, if you look at this very superficial view that we learn from the newspapers and which we learn from society, the mundane, two-dimensional point of view, then you will also feel that this world is so unfair. And there's so much inequality. In this way, yes, it is, and that will never change. But in another way, it is always fair. Because what's going on is actually vipaka. So I'm not here to excuse that this world is terrible and you just have to accept it. I don't want you to learn to accept that the fact that this world is suffering and that this world is partly terrible. Because when you really understand what the world really is, you will no longer make that statement in that way. Right? So this world, the world really as it is, when you really realize what this world really, really is, you won't feel like that. But it will take us a while to get there, to understand. God, actually. I would call it God. Understanding nature. That is what the Buddha has done and what he achieved. So, but even starting from this understanding that, well, if everything that happens is because of what has been given, so then you will see that from that point of view we are all the same, right? So sometimes there will be people who have more than us and others who have less than us. Not because they are special in any way, not because nature loves them more than us or something like that. It is simply that there's an environment for the goodness that has been done to happen. And just because, and you can't really, and let's say you also want that. You also want that goodness. You also want that, I don't know, car. You also want that house. You also want that happiness. You also want that fame. You also want that, it could be spiritual happiness, it could be Nibbāna. Whatever it is that you see others having more of than you cannot, you might say that let's change the society so that everyone has the same. You can't achieve something for yourself by changing the outside world. All you can really do is create an environment to reap something that you have sown, so you have given. That must be there. You can't go around that. See, maybe they have changed the political system in South Africa, and now there are some people who have much better life than in the past. But that is not because of the change of the system. That's only the environment. It is because of there's something that they have given, and now is the time for them to reap. That must be there. So it's important to know. And if you understand that, you will not focus your efforts in life on changing society, changing other people, changing anything. Because isn't that very hard? I know that one example is relationships. See, if there's something about your partner, your spouse or whoever, that you don't like, I know I haven't been in a long relationship like that. Thank God. No, actually. So I haven't been, but I have seen them around me. Many. Either friends who have been together for years on my age or the generation above me. I have seen that. So always what I see, and not only in Germany, I think it's all over the world, is whenever people try to change each other, it's like things go downhill from there. Because one person tries to change the other, and the other person tries to change the other person, and no one is willing to change. And then things will get worse and worse and worse, right? So as much as you try to change your spouse or whoever, trust me, you can wait a long time. And it's not that they are bad, actually. I mean, I have also been in relationships, and we don't have to talk about these relationships. We can just say, you are always in a relationship with someone in this world, right? Even if you're working in a school, you are in a relationship with all your colleagues and the students. So you are always in a network. And then always problems will happen. And you are confronted with yourself. The way you deal with others, so when you are very restless today, then people will reflect that back to you. If you can't be patient and things have to be very quickly, and you always, this sound. My teacher calls it the gecko sound. So when we are doing this, or this like these sounds we do because we don't want to wait, and we are actually full of vexation inside, right? So when this happens to us, when we are burning, others also usually they reflect. They will show us in one way or another that back to us. So we are always in a network, and so sometimes I experienced that people came to me and told me mistakes I'm doing. It could be your spouse, it could be anyone. See, even if there's someone, even let's say you, because I think you are a very special kind of people, because you are the people who, if somebody tells you, I must assume this, but I think that is fair to assume, since you come here and you want to make a difference in your life and you want to follow the Buddha. So I think if I were to come to you, and if I were to show, let's say, I will come to you and show you a mistake, not with angry, not because I want to like laugh at you, or I don't want to expose you in front of others, not because of any of these reasons, right? I don't do it in public, I don't do it out of anger, I do it only because I want you to improve a mistake, let's say. If I were to come to you like that, and if anyone for that matter would know that I'm a Swaminatha, so then there's always, this is of course another situation, but if anyone would come to you and show you a mistake, I think you are these kind of people who would be most grateful for that, and you would take that as a gift, right? You would be happy about knowing about your mistake. And what would you try to do? You would probably try to change that, right? Not saying it's easy. It's not easy to change. I know that. I know people came to me years back and they said something like, you could maybe smile more, you would maybe listen more. You are not doing this or that. So then I always tried to be somebody who's willing for criticism and then try to change that. But even then, how hard is that? I mean, even when you want to change, how is it to do that? Isn't that hard? See, even when you want to change. So that means if you want someone else to change, you actually don't know whether he or she really wants to change or not. That's already where most people fall out on the other side of the end, right? Maybe they don't really want to change at all. And then even if they want to, even then it's hard for them. So you have to be patient with yourself as well as with others in this regard. But trying you must do. Always trying to do. Trying is what will make a difference. And so I can say that, yes, I will listen to you more attentively, and I recognize this mistake. But can you guarantee that next time when the situation happens, you will really listen attentively? You can't guarantee, but you can at least say that you will try your best. So you can have the best intention for that to happen, but ultimately it's not something you can control. That would be nice. So anyways, when you look at life in this way, you won't have to blame anyone. You don't have to blame the politicians, you don't have to blame your spouse or anyone. You realize that this problem, the way that people treat me, so my partner treats me like that. That is something he or she does sometimes, says. Or when you go to the petrol station, as I said, there's no petrol. Then that is something that we have given. We haven't given, we have denied comfort, we have denied comfort, let's leave it at that. And that's why we are denied comfort. And all the much toiling and complaining will not make it any better. So the thing is, what tends to happen is, if now you start a fight with anyone, you will most likely draw more and more of bad things that you have done. Right? You will get another load. But if you accept your fate, then sometimes you might the price you have to pay will be the lowest necessary. You won't attract more bad vipakas, right? Because if you start fighting with the man at the petrol station, like imagine, let's say you start a fight, he might ban you from ever coming back. So that's an additional vipaka that you got. You didn't have to get that. That is something we could have avoided. Sometimes when you can be really forgiving and understanding, things will flatten out and things will soften a lot. So that is one important aspect. This is even a meditation, when you can live like that principle. See, we are all in this unfortunate situation that we are running around with this body, and this body is something like, it's like an ice cream. If you buy an ice cream, isn't that a ticking time bomb? I mean, you have to eat it quickly, right? If you don't eat it quickly, what will happen? It will spread all over and it will be sticky to your clothes. Maybe if you don't pay attention, if you have it in your hand, it'll drop down on your blouse, on your shirt, on your jeans or your trousers, and then you have a mess. So this body is like that. Because the body is also like an ice cream. It's just some energy, put together, glued together, but that energy doesn't like to stay together. It likes to spread again. And when it starts spreading, you need to put so much effort in maintaining that. So the body is one example. But it's more, right? Your car is the same. The car doesn't just drive. You need to keep maintaining that. Isn't that so? Car has to be maintained. Fuel has to be maintained. Car has to be repaired. That repairing also costs a lot of money. And the car also is also like an ice cream. It's always melting, constantly melting. And your relationship with other people is also like that, isn't that so? Can you ever really have a good marriage or relationship, as in, now it's good and then you're done maintaining that? No. The one problem solved is before the next problem to come, right? So then soon enough, next problems will happen, as in work has to be put in so that you can maintain that. So it's also something like that. Everything in life is like that. And the problem is, our happiness always depends on all these things, isn't it? So if to any of these entities, whether that is your body, whether that's your car, now see, you need the car to go to work. If you don't go to work, you can't earn the money to feed your family or to maintain your body, to maintain your life. So everything is co-connected to each other. So that means we have to maintain a huge network of pieces, right? We have to maintain the body, as well as the car, as well as the work, as well as the relationship. Ships, like spouse, children, and living in society, the neighbors. Sometimes you have to go and ring at the neighbor's door. I hope you did it recently. When you have something left over from your meal, or if you have a cake too much, you just have to bring that, because even that has to be maintained somehow. And then you have to pay taxes as well. You have to make a tax declaration. I don't know, that's what we have to do in Germany. I always found this so taxing. I never had to. I'm lucky, I must say. I'm very fortunate that I am living in this way now. Because most people, they have to do tax declarations. So every year, that all the things that they have earned, they have to sit 20 hours just in front of the computer to write down, this is what I earned, this, and this is what I bought, and this is my business, and so on, so on, so. And then you have to send that to the government, and then they check it, and then they come back with questions, and then you have to... So even that is something, no one likes to do that, right? No one likes to do tax declarations. And there's one way, there's one right way to get out of this, and there's one wrong way to get out of this. There are some people who try to get out of this by, leaving society, or by simply ignoring it. For example, one thing that when you're living in this world, and I can talk about Germany, one thing that you have to do, if you have a house in Germany, and if it's winter, and if it's snowing, then the sidewalk, the walk on the street, you have the part where the cars drive, and then usually you have these pedestrian sidewalks where the people walk. So when it's snowy and it's snowing, the problem is, well, snow comes out everywhere, but the sidewalks, if the snow is there, and if you just leave it there, what can happen is that, especially if it's melting, it gets really, really slippery. Right? So then what happens is, if people walk there, they can easily slip. So the society has come up with this rule now, because it's a big danger for many people, especially for old people, right? So there's a rule that in front of your house, that part of the sidewalk, which actually doesn't belong to you, it belongs to the public, you have to maintain that. So you have to go and remove the snow. So whenever it snows, you have to go there and remove it every morning, every day. You have to maintain it and keep it free from snow. So now, if you say, I don't like this society and all these things, they always put so much burden on me, why do I have to do all these things? Like, if you want to be free, because don't you realize that this is a huge burden, all this maintaining, or what we call as sankhara dukkha, right? Sankhara dukkha means, all the things we do to maintain our existence, right? Maintaining your body, maintaining your relationships, maintaining your car, whether it is simply to live or whether it is to maintain the things which you feel give you happiness, right? It doesn't matter. It's a lot of maintaining. So in that way, if you are living in society, you need to do that job. So if you say, I want to be free, then there's a wrong way to try to be free, which is you simply don't do it, or you move to the North Pole. Yeah, you can do that. In North Pole, no one will bother you, but it will be very cold, and sometimes you will be lonely also. So see, then you're also trapped, because if you're not an arahant, you'll be lonely. So then you will suffer there as well. So in that way, not really a solution is that also. So, but there are people who say, okay, I'm no longer bothering, I will not do that. I want to be free from all these rules and all these duties and all this stuff. Or when you have when you buy something and you have and it's wrapped in plastic, something that people like to do is, because now you have bought the thing, but you didn't want the plastic, right? You just wanted. If you buy this and this comes wrapped in plastic, you want to write with this, right? What use do you have of the packaging? Well, the moment that you have it, you don't need the packaging anymore. So what do people tend to do? Now it's my job to find a trash bin and throw it in there. Even that is too much work for them, so they just throw it on the ground. But you can see that they must be suffering, right? Because if they don't suffer, then there wouldn't be any problem in carrying this around and putting it to the trash bin, right? Why does someone throw a packaging to the street? Isn't that because carrying it around will bother him? Will be a burden to him or her? At least a little bit? Yeah. See? So if you see that, then I can no longer be angry with people who do that. I feel so sorry for them. Because they are living in this world. That's already punishment enough. The more you understand, you'll know that living in this world alone is a big punishment. Because you are living in a refrigerator which is plugged out. So it's constantly melting everything. Right? And then you have to keep the electricity going so that you don't melt. And the things around you as well as the relationships around you also. So I feel sorry for such people. But however, you can see the mentality. You just throw the packaging on the streets. That is the easy way to go out of all these duties and responsibilities, right? It's the easy way. But let's take example of the snow. What will happen if you don't clean the snow in front of your house? An old grandmother will walk around, she will slip, and if that happens, then congratulations. You have just gotten yourself a big fine. It could be thousands or tens of thousands of euros or dollars, or it could be lakhs of, rupees. So then, who has to pay that? Who has to work for that? You also have to do. That will be more work than doing the work doing the snow shipping or the cleaning the street. So we have to do all these duties and responsibilities. That part we can't avoid, right? But you will see that additionally to that, you have created much more bonds than necessarily. And I hope that you can at least start to consider whether these are things that whether the things that you have brought into your lives for happiness are actually serving you that purpose or not. I'm just giving a simple example. It could be, the makeup that you bought. It could be the books that you have in I know people, they have a huge bookshelf for all the books which they have read, or the books that are important to them. Now the thing is this, I understand, yes, you read all these books and they were fun and it was a great read. Yeah, I know that. I have also experienced that. I read also books. Some of them were really good. But at the end of the day, what has really changed in your lives? I have read books. I was a kid, I read Harry Potter. Then I was a student and I read the Diary of Anne Frank. Yes. But what has really changed? It hasn't really changed anything. My problems are still there, the desires are still there, vexation is still there, and fear is still there. Nothing really has changed. And the more that you realize that these things were just a release of vexation, or we could, in today's discussion, we can see that it was just consuming a vipaka. Isn't that so? Any book that you read was just a vipaka you consumed. You have given something for you to be able to, let's say you're reading a romantic novel. Yeah, then you read it. And that was a vipaka that you consumed because of a merit. But then That's all. That is all it is. It's not more. So it's like you earn money and then you spend it. So you earn money, you go to holiday. And when you're in the holiday, you are able to buy something from that. And then you have a nice meal and then you go home. So what has really happened now? So you were there. So let's say, I don't know, I just give this example. This is how it works in Germany. People go to holiday in June. In Germany, let's say June, July. In order to afford their holiday, they have to work really hard the rest of their year, let's say. So that they work hard and they earn all the money. Then they go to the holidays, spend all that money for a restaurant, for a hotel, for a pool, for a nice beach, and they will pay $10 for a coconut water. Yes. It will be special for them. It will be special for them, right? Because they have never had the chance to drink coconut water in their rest of their life or the year. Okay. However, money is spent and then they come back. And then what has really changed? How much closer are they to happiness? Now the money that they had is gone. Just like last year, right? Just like the year before, they had no money, now they have no money. They also didn't have happiness that year. Now they also don't have any happiness. So what is there to do? Let's earn some more money and go on holiday again. So then at least we have something to do. And that's how it goes. That's how the samsara happens. Meanwhile, so now I gave this example, but what did I explain when I said this earning money? What do I mean with this earning money? Actually, I mean, whenever we experience happiness in the world, anything that has given you happiness in this life is like consuming a vipaka. So that vipaka you have received for a merit that you have done, right? So for something that you have given. But once it is consumed, then that's it. And the thing is this, most of the merits that we consume is not something that we have earned in this life, right? So maybe today you are educated, you are rich, and you have a lot of comfort, but you didn't get this comfort for what you have done in this life. Like the studying that you have done when you were a teenager, that is not for why you have gotten the comfort that you have today. It's merely, this studying was merely creating the environment for that. Because aren't there also people who have studied the same, but they don't have the comfort or the happiness that you have or that others have, right? So it's just creating the environment to draw the vipaka. The vipaka is actually something we have done some other day, some other time. These are the things when you have earned merits. Have you earned merits by studying? By learning for exams, by going to school, getting education? Is that a meritorious deed? That's not a meritorious deed. So this is the thing. See, this is a little bit the problem with this human life. We are living in this human life and we have completely forgotten what has happened before. And then we start working and we get money, happiness, comfort, and these things. We get all these things. So we tend to see, it's because of what I have done, the work, learning, that I get these things. That is not so. Because if we would see what has happened before, we could see that that's only creating the environment, and that is what the merit that we have done. So it's always these two things. So that means the actual price that we pay for all these things is much bigger. Actually, the real work you have put in to enjoy this life is much higher than you think it is. The price you pay for comfort in this human life is not the work that you do today and tomorrow and this kind of work. It's the merit work that you have put in somehow or another. Maybe in this life, maybe before that. So, anyways, the point is, merit is just something to keep us afloat, but it's not a solution in any other way. And it's like, this is the thing, it's a constant battle to maintain something that really cannot be maintained. So I want to finish this point about the petrol station and then come to explain something a bit more deeper as well. So I try to give this point that if you really want to, and if you're really keen to attain Nibbāna, anything and everything in life will be something that it will be something where you can learn something. Nothing will be an inconvenience to you, because you can always see the deeper problem that you and others have, right? In this case, you can see petrol is something that without which the society doesn't run, our lives don't run, and all this network that we are all individually trying to maintain, which keeps us running in a rat race. If any of these points, like petrol can be the thing that breaks your life, right? It can be something that all this maintaining that's the point where everything breaks. Now you don't have petrol, now what can you do? You can't pick up your children from school, from kindergarten or nursery, or you can't go to your work, so you can't go to your work, and then you have to find another way to do that. And then so many problems come arising just because of that. So this is the situation we are all in, and others are also in that. We are all in this business together, from a certain way of looking at it. So the fact that petrol can do that will give you a resolve to find a way to escape from this. Why are you in a position where you still have to maintain all these things, where you haven't gained anything? You haven't. Recently, our teachers have explained this point, and you will be able to grasp this point at least to a certain extent. Because there was once a situation when the Buddha has talked to Ananda, and he said, Ananda, I think he showed him maybe a handful of leaves or something like that, and then he said, see, if at least there would be this amount of happiness in this world, so if at least compare the handful of leaves with all the leaves on this earth, then it's very small, right? So the Buddha has tried to say, if at least this amount of happiness would exist in this world, then a Buddha would not be something necessary to come. A Buddha would not be necessary if at least this amount of happiness would be real. So what he was trying to say is that, in fact, in this whole world, in your life and my life, in everyone's life, there was never, not even a nanogram, a picogram, a quantum of happiness ever anywhere to be found. When we are talking about actual happiness, there's nothing anywhere. With happiness, I mean something that's really can be called happiness. Because all that you and me we are doing is We are suffering and we experience the release of suffering. That's the only thing that you and me experience, right? You get hunger, you eat, and you feel the reduction of hunger. That is real. But beyond that, there's nothing. We are all, and especially the society, we are fooling ourselves by talking about anything more than that. That is the tragedy of it. If you can understand this point, you will be able to realize, okay, yes, of course, vipaka is there and merits are there and merits can give this so-called comfort, but comfort is actually just that. So it's nothing more than that. So you will realize we are fighting a battle that seems to be not able, you can't win this battle, and while we are keeping all our lives afloat, we create demerits, and that also keeps us chasing after us. All the papa karma keeps chasing us. So you'll see that, and then you can see even situations like the petrol station, and you'll see the bigger tragedy that you are in and others, you can say, from a rough point of view, right? And it'll make your resolve stronger. That's something also I felt when I was in Germany, and I saw sometimes people that I used to associate as friends before going down a path of more and more attachment, right? So they were marrying, having children. Not that these things are wrong, because if at least they would know the Dhamma, then they would know that, well, whereas maybe in the outside society and external world, this is what I'm doing. My mind, I'm trying to cultivate a certain mentality. But if you are cultivating actively the mentality of a wife, of a spouse, of a father, of a mother, if these identities are things you nurture in your mind, then I'm sorry to say, then you're just preparing yourself for a big disaster. Because none of these things are who you really are, and you're just going against nature, because nature doesn't know anything about bonds. It doesn't know that you are a father. It doesn't know that there's a son here, and you're trying to find happiness from something which has no happiness. This is unfortunately the case. So if at least that would be something that people know, then I would say, okay, then mentally they can develop. Because this path is not something you have to practice with your body, it's something you practice in your mind. When you changed your attitudes, and when you start thinking in a new way, that is what's important. But when I see friends of mine doing that, I feel sorry, because I know where it's going to end up, and I know that there's what they're actually looking for. They will not be able to find it there. So then let's come to a deeper point. We still have 20-30 minutes, and that is to make a little bit more clearer in your and my mind this idea that we are not actually dealing with other people out there. So, see, last week we went a little bit into this point. We started to talk about anicca more. I don't know how well I'm going to explain this to you today, but I'll try to explain a little bit. See, Now, let's take a relationship as an example. When you're in a relationship with someone, and you feel that there's another person out there, then you come home and I'm trying to find the words because we have to build up this way of thinking altogether. That's not something easy. In the monastery, you're so used to talk about this cause and effect and understanding what's really going on, but we have to develop, or we have to slowly progress in making visible to us what we don't see at the surface. See, right now you're here. Don't you feel that you are living in a world with others? I mean, don't you feel that we are all here together in one room? See, now, when you feel like that, don't expect these things to make sense to you today, okay? Listen to these things and think about them. Try to make sense as much as you can, without expecting to understand everything I say. Because you are not here to get results, as in, you're not here. You can't expect results. Results will come. I mean, can a farmer, when he's going to the field, can he expect crops and harvest? He can't do that, because that is up to nature. If he's deserving, he will get. If not, he won't. Some years he gets a lot of harvest. Some others he doesn't. What is the farmer's job? The farmer's job is only to sow the seeds, to tend after them, to irrigate the field, only to look after the causes, at least some of the causes that he can manage. All the rest is up to nature. So it's like that, in the same way. See, you come here, you listen attentively, you bring, hopefully, a week full of merits with you, and then sometimes something will happen, sometimes not. But if you do it consistently, and if you really work on the causes properly, then chances are that little by little you will progress, right? But you can't expect progress. None of us can. We can't. But you can work. You can affect progress. You can do that actively. If between last week and this week you haven't made your best efforts to put into practice whatever you have understood, or some of the things that we talked about, or maybe done merits, you can't expect anything to happen today. But if you did it, then you will be able to expect more. So this is how it works. So anyways, let's come back. So don't expect these things to make sense fully now, but listen to them and think about them. Try to make sense. So now I was talking about this point. See, when you see us here in this room together, you will feel that we are all here dealing with each other. I'm talking to you, and you are listening to me. You are listening to me means you are listening to the monk which is in front of you. And you are all seeing the same monk, right? The Buddha has explained what's really going on. The Buddha has explained what's really the reality. And reality is so much different from what you and me know. So, one way to come into this is to understand about the colors. See, the colors that you see. So this is what actually happening. I'll tell it to you, so you will be able to make the connection to what I talked before. right now, you are experiencing not me talking to you. What you're experiencing is your own vipaka. Your own vipaka means you're looking at yourself. You're looking at yourself. You're not looking at me. See whether that makes sense to you a little bit. We are all in individual bubbles. Everyone is in his own bubble. Look, it's like people go into a virtual reality cafe and they put on their glasses, their VR glasses, and then they're playing their games. They're seeing their own world, doing something. That's actually what happens. You can understand it at least to a certain extent, right? For example, if I say, let's say, the Indian cricket team is really, really good. It's much better than the Sri Lanka. So, then maybe you will say that, who said these words? It was me, right? I said that. But some of you will feel maybe happy, and some of you will feel sad about this, or feel offended by it, and some will feel pleased by that. Now that part, the pleasing part and the offending part, was that in what I have said? No, that was your own world, right? The pleasing part, the offending part, was something that your mind has created on top of that. Okay. Now we are just going another step further. Now when I will try to explain you that even the sound that you're hearing right now is your own creation. The sound that you're hearing right now is not sound, that is something that that is being produced in here, in this body. The sound that you are hearing right now is created in your own mind. That means you are all hearing something completely different. That means what the gentleman here hears and what the other gentleman hears are not the same sounds, which means actually you're not listening to the same sermon. Not that it's not just that your emotions, the pleasant and unpleasant feelings are your own creations. Every experience is your own creation. And by that I mean not you are creating it. It's not like there's you who's creating something. I don't say that. And I don't say that these experiences happen in your mind, that there's your mind and something happens in there. What I'm trying to say is that experience is happening. Experiencing happens. Experiencing happens where? Does it happen in here? Experiencing? No, experiencing doesn't happen in here. Well, it depends on what we mean. If I'm talking about the fan here, actually, the rupa here, the matter, this matter doesn't experience. Experiencing is something mental, or that is what we call mind. So, where does that happen? In here? No, it happens in. Well, there's a mind, there's a mind, there's a mind, there's a mind, there's a mind. We can say like that. So, in all these minds, experiencing happens. Let's leave it for that. So, but the thing is, so experience experiencing can mean different things. Seeing can be experience. Hearing can be experience. Tasting can be experience. Smelling can be experience. Touching can be experience. And thinking can be experience. These are the types of experiences. It's like, these are all processes. I'll write them down and I'll give you an analogy. The first thing to understand, something that will, it's a deep point, but something we have to understand thoroughly, is this ing part here. It refers to this idea that seeing is a process. And the more you will understand what a process is, then you will understand what you are. Because then you will realize that you are not a person. You are actually nature. And that means you are also not essentially any different from a robot, a machine. Right? We talked about it the other day. I think not everyone was here at that day, but we talked about this idea that, why are doctors able to, when you go to the doctor, why is the doctor able to treat your body? Because your body is yours, so how does he know about your body? He knows about your body because all of the bodies basically work in the same way, right? These are all machines. So if you have a cough, then that cough manifests because of certain causes, and when you know about the causes, you can treat that. That's what the doctor does. So the body is a machine, right? That's why you can treat the causes, change the causes, and the result will change. There's no body as a thing that you have to deal with. You can't do that. And the mind is the same. Your mind and my mind, actually mind is also like that, a process. Nothing actually alive in the sense that there's nothing human about this process. Nothing sentient, nothing we could say, there's no being in this process. So the Buddha has given this example. Sabbaso namarupasming yassa nati mamaita asatachana sojata save bhikkhoti vujjati. So what he was explaining was sabbaso namarupasming. All of nama and rupa yassa nati mamaita means is without an owner, is without a person who's doing anything, is without an essence, is without a controller, is without... let's leave it like that. So these are things which happen, but these are processes. That's why I put this ing. So I will give you, these are 6 different ways of this experiencing to happen. So these are all types of experiences, right? Experiencing, or another word for this is minding. So experiencing is something real. But there's no experiencer. That's something we will learn. I don't want you to believe me. I want us to slowly get familiar to these ideas and understand the basis on why I say so. But experiencing is real, but when the Buddha said yassa natti mamaitang, he means there's no experiencer. As well as there's no thing to experience. Experiencing happens. Just get these things a little bit like running through your mind little by little. So I'll give you an analogy, because just as much as these six things are, let's say, types of experiences, I will give you another process to compare this with. A good example of a process is the process of a fire, right? So, for example, you can have a fire that's burning with firewood. These are all types of processes, right? These are we can say them types of fire, right? There's one type of fire when you take wood and you burn it, then we call it a wood fire. You can also burn oil, then it's also another type of a fire, and oil lamp and so on. So these are different types, but the general idea is these are all fires. Isn't that so? So similarly, these are all experiences, but in their type, they are a little different. Seeing is not hearing. But the point is, it's like a process. So for a fire to happen, what do you need there? Causes, right? So what are the causes for fire? Fuel, oxygen, and heat. And similarly, here also, the Buddha has explained Chakuncha paticca rupecha upajjati chaku viññāna, something like that. So what the Buddha means to say is that seeing is also just like that. Eye and sight, or sight and object and eye, let's say that object and eye. For hearing, it would be the vibration, and ear equals to sound. So now let's come back to what I was trying to say. Now I think we won't be able to go through this today fully, but we'll work on this more. Actually, we should think about how does color happen? Because what you are essentially right now seeing is a color, right? Color happens. The thing is color something that happens here on this rope? There's one, because there are different ways to prove this. One way you can understand is this. See, sometimes if you take an object and you hit against your against the back of your head, what you will see sometimes happening, if you hit hard enough, don't do it, don't try this, is that you will start seeing lights, right? What can happen is that by hitting your back head, you start seeing lights. The question is this: now the lights that you see, where did they come from? Were they in the pen? Were they in the object? Were they in your head? No, because all you really did was you created a current of electricity, right? By hitting against your head, all you really did was you created some kind of a nerve impulse. This nerve impulse doesn't have a color. No. Do nerves have colors? No. Nerves don't have colors. That's why if you take the nerve of the eye and you connect it to the hearing part of the brain, what will happen then? Does the hearing part of the brain care about which nerve it is connected to? It doesn't really care. All that it cares about is, well, there's a current coming, 1 volt or some kind of action potential, and that's all that happens. So in your brain, do you think there are colors in your brain? In your brain, there are no colors, there's no sounds, there's no tastes, there's no smells, nothing is there in your brain. So all that comes to your brain are nerve impulse or electricity. So that means if in your brain there's no colors, no tastes, then that means colors and tastes and all these things must be created after the brain or in the brain, either one or the other, isn't it? That means colors are created in the brain itself by causes coming together. Colors don't come into the brain from the eyes. So, and that's why by hitting against the back of your head, what can happen is I can make you see a light, because lights are not something that the outside world has, colors, right? These are something created in your mind. And another example, see, if I want to know how many people are in this room, you will say, of course, there must be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people in this room. Now let's think of this. Let's say I drink a lot of alcohol. A lot of alcohol. And let's say I forget everything that happened so far. Everything in the past I forget. Now I drank a lot of alcohol. So what tends to happen when you drink alcohol? A lot. The chemistry in your brain changes, and suddenly you start to see everything twice. That's why I don't know, I haven't experienced it to that extent, I must say, but that's what people say. But there's a in Germany, there's this is nonsense at the end of the day, but they, in my part of Germany, in Cologne, in the West Germany, they have a 5th season. So normally there are 4 seasons in this, in Germany. That's summer, winter, autumn, spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And then there people say there's another season which we call Carnival. You also see that in Rio de Janeiro and in Brazil a lot. And in Germany it starts on 11th of 11. Why? People, they say, is because when you drink a lot, the 1st of the January becomes 11th of November, right? Because when you see everything double, you get this. So it's the beginning of the year for these for people, and they say that this is the 5th season. So the point is this: how can drinking alcohol make you see, like if I were drinking alcohol, I would suddenly see 12 people here, isn't it? Now, with rationally, you will know that this is just an illusion because you have a memory. And you know, so first you remember that you drink alcohol, and you know that alcohol does this to you. And you have a memory of speaking here to 6 people, so you will be able to know that that is only an illusion. But imagine that you have no memory you don't have the memory of speaking to 6 people. And you will see 12 people. How is it possible that what you see changes when you drink alcohol or when you take drugs? How can that be? Because if you are seeing what the outside world really has, how should drugs make a difference? Can that be? No. So then you can see if alcohol or drugs, I'm just giving this as an example to prove a point, if they can change what we see, then that seeing can't be the seeing of what's really there in the world. Does it make sense? And because, and this is the last point, and we can continue more on this. So the point is, this seeing part is a mental thing, right? Seeing is mental.
All are mental. All those areas mental.
Yeah, they are all mental, definitely. They are all mental. That means now the physical world, does it have any mental things? There's nothing mental here, isn't it? This is only matter. Means electrons and protons, Satara Mahadhatu, if you consider from the Buddha's language. These are just language point of views, but it's ultimately matter, physical, not mental. But there's one mistake we are doing. Actually, that mistake is why you are trapped in samsara. There's one way to understand the trap of samsara. It's you make something physical that's not physical, but actually mental. Because the colors that you see, for you, seem to be physical, but they are not. The colors that you see are mental, actually. But in our minds, don't you feel this fan is having these colors? Yeah. So you see, you give credits to the fan for the colors. Our mind, so our mind projects colors to the outside world, but it's a projection. Colors are not here. So a projection. It's like example of a projection. It's like when you take a beamer and you project something to the wall, then is that on the wall? It's not on the wall. The wall is just a wall. If, let's say this wall is white, okay? Now you project a picture, and then you start to say, look, the wall is such a beautiful wall, right? So you give credit to the wall. Should you give credit to the wall or to the projector? Who deserves the credit? The projector deserves the credit, not the wall. So the thing is, to finish this point for today, I wasn't able to go through all depths, but we'll slowly learn that you don't deal with the outside world, you are dealing with your own vipakas. And that is why this is a tremendous, when you realize this will be your key to freedom, because, see, I really love the things in the Bible as well, where it talks about if you judge others, you too shall be judged, as an example, when Jesus said these things. Because the thing is this, why does it matter, these things, to our practical lives? It matters because, see, in your daily lives, you always feel that you're dealing with people, and then they hurt you, or then sometimes they make compliments to you. So you start to love them and you start to hate them, people. Because you feel that these people did these things to you. So for example, let's say somebody insults you. Then you feel that insult is something that you got from that person. And then you start to fight with that person. The problem is this: if the sound that you experience is your own mind, whenever you or me, when we try to fight against others, don't people fight against others in this world? Politically, on the world scale, or we all in private? We have fights with others. Even if you consider it in a very subtle way, we do. Sometimes the neighbor hasn't put the trash bin on in the right position, or he has forgotten something, or maybe when we watch the news, then some politician has done this and that, and we get angry with that person. So you see, people always fight with each other. That's what they think they do. And then they always say, you are the reason because I suffer. And then put the finger outwards, because they feel that there's really another person and he did that to me. But whenever we do that, because actually the other person and the insult and all of that, that is me, that is you. So whenever you insult someone, you are insulting yourself. This is the point you need to understand. Whenever we fight against others, we don't realize that we are not there's no one else out there. We are actually fighting against others. So that's why whenever we start to act out of anger against someone else, nature doesn't know that there's another one. All that you're doing is you're throwing anger at yourself. That's why you will get it back. It's something like that. So it's actually a very beautiful concept to understand this nature. And all of this, at the end of the day, is to make you and me realize one thing in more and more clarity, is that I don't know, I would say becoming one with nature, or understanding that, I don't know, we are God, that we are nature, that we are not what we think we are, and we start stopping that fighting and accepting the life as it is, learning how to accept. The thing is, it's hard for us to accept life until as long as we don't understand it clearly. But the more we are going on this journey, we will be able to realize and understand nature as it really is. And then accepting happens automatically. And that means suffering stops there. Suffering will stop by you understanding what really happens. So when you understand that you are not dealing with anyone else, and as I explained at the beginning, you just see your own reflection. If it is something that's happened because you have given it, what point is there to fight against it? You will get it back again, isn't it? So the only thing we can do is accepting the experience as it happens. That is not easy for us to do until we understand these things. And as we understand it, then we can live according to nature's rules, according to that law, the law of nature, which is what we give is what we get. Later you will realize, you will more and more realize there's no one to give and no one to receive as a fixed entity, but what has given comes back, not to someone. There was not someone to give, but these can be also misunderstood. So it is very important to do as much merits as you can and apply. Please do that. Just like we did this meditation, try to see everything in your life as a manifestation of what I have given and as a mirror that comes back to you. Then you don't try to like, just the last point for today. If you see, let's say somebody comes to you, take any problem in your life. Let's say there's a colleague who's really annoying to you. If you think that the colleague is there and he's annoying, you will try to change him. And that's what we have all tried to do. But that will never work, because what you're trying to do is, it's like you're looking into the mirror and you're seeing a dirty face in the mirror, and you say, oh, that mirror is really dirty. And then you try to change the face in the mirror. Does it make any sense? You can't change the face in the mirror, because that is only the reflection of you who's looking into it. So all you can really do is change your face. So by understanding that the colleague is not annoying, because annoyingness is something you create, not you, but it happens in your mind. And the colleague is also not there in the world, that is also your creation. You will no longer want to fight with a colleague, because there's no such a thing. You'll realize that is a vipaka. So what can you do? Accept it and give something. Give. That's where everything starts and everything ends, with giving. So you are very fortunate, and I couldn't talk about this, but this is something my teacher talked about recently, the old Sihala culture and the traditions and this giving nature that all of you people have in this country. That is a great treasure. So that is something I would love to, with all of you together, to bring back more. I mean, not that it's completely gone, but we can all make a difference in bringing it back to our friends and family and circles, as well as to the country, to the world, right? So this being the best version of yourself to others, seeing the job that you do, the work and your profession and anything in life just as a means to earn merits, to give a service to others, and then for you to realize the truth, the absolute truth of life, the Buddha's noble truth, and what Buddha has discovered, what Buddha has discovered, and freeing yourself from this endless journey of suffering that we have all been coming from, but we don't remember it. But we will realize this sense of self that we all feel when it creates future, past and present is the biggest burden that you can imagine. So we'll come there eventually. Just keep doing your merits, be the best version of yourself to others, and see every opportunity. See everything that you have as a means to render a service. Then your life will be very meaningful. But I don't understand a life being it could be a teacher or a doctor, just to earn money and enjoy, I don't know, foods. What is there to enjoy? It's meaningless. Or for a reputation. These are not the real meanings of enjoyment. These are just means to give a service. Try to see it from that point of view. That's what I try to do. That's how I understand monkhood as well. It's just a way to be of service. It's not a way to become a great preacher. It's not a great way to become a teacher and make a living out of that or something like that. It's a means to an end. It's always just to render a service. Okay. So, thank you for coming, and you acquired lots of merits today by coming here and taking part and contemplating on what we have talked about together, and making offerings today, and inviting the Swaminatha, and let us pay our debts to all the people who have helped us in the past, share all the merits, and with this meritorious mind that you and me have right now. See, after talking about the Dhamma for 1-2 hours, our mind is somewhat calm and meritorious, and we can actually send merits. I mean, we can do a lot for others in this moment. When you are in front of your TV and you are watching something there, your mind is not like that at that moment. I'm not saying you're doing that, just an example. Right now, our mind is very energetic, so we can share our merits and do something for our family and ancestors and for ourselves as well. That's why we I'm deviating. No, actually, that's why, for example, when recently there was a friend, he went to Anuradhapura to go around the Ruanmeli Mahasai, and when you go there and when you see everything and when you get so pleasant about what has happened there and how special this place is, and when you go there and you offer flowers to the Buddha and you bow down, and in these moments when you make an adhisthana, then it's very powerful. It can bring you a long way towards salvation. So that is something very important. And that's why in our monastery we always also organize things like Met Shanti Karma and chantings and other events. When you participate, someday in the future I might invite you to come. If you want to have time, you can come. You can use these opportunities to earn lots of merits, and also to make a determination to make this journey towards bliss, happiness, salvation, and freedom from all this maintaining and suffering of sankhara dukkha, to make this advance quicker by adhisthana, by a determination. Right? Okay, let us take a moment today to transfer all the merits that we have acquired by making offerings to the infinite virtues of the Noble Triple Gem, chanting, inviting the Swaminatha to deliver the sermon, offering oil lamp, flowers, and various offerings to the Buddha, and listening to the sermon. First and foremost, let us transfer these merits to all the bhikkhus, bhikkhunis, upasakas, upasikas who since time immemorial have protected and preserved the sublime teachings of the Buddha and have passed it down through the generations of the noble lineage in the form of the Tripitaka, which is thankfully available to us today. to study, understand, and comprehend the Dhamma. Let's also transfer these merits to all members of the Mahasangha present throughout the world, including the chief prelates of all of the chapters who have dedicated their lives towards the noble path and have committed themselves towards the betterment of all sentient beings. Let us not forget that among them are the monks and nuns resident in your local temples and nunneries, who've always been by your side, through thick and thin, come rain or shine. Let's also transfer these merits to Guru Swami Nohanse, as well as all the monks resident at the monastery, as well as the anagarikas and anagarikas attached to the monastery. Let's also transfer these merits and express our gratitude to all those who make great efforts to disseminate the teachings of the Buddha, be that by transliterating these sermons, sharing them out with others, or inviting others to join them. If any of them have been born in the woeful plane, may they redeem themselves and be born in a blissful plane. May they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the Noble Eightfold Path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbāna. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let's also transfer these merits to our devotees, friends of the monastery, who for the sake of merits continue to sustain the Mahasangha. This includes everyone from those who have contributed to the construction of the monastery, as well as those who provide the Mahasangha with shelter, alms, robes, and medicines, as well as those who pass on their know-how and continue to extend their well wishes. Let's also transfer these merits to each and everyone involved who has made these sermons in this venue possible. Everyone in the school and beyond who have contributed towards making this program possible. May through the power of these merits, each and every one of them be healed of any physical and mental ailments and overcome any obstacles to their spiritual progress. May they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the Noble Eightfold Path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbāna. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let's also transfer these merits to our mothers and fathers and husbands and wives, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, nephews and nieces, our elders, friends and acquaintances, employers and employees, our teachers, and to all those who have helped us and supported us. And may through the power of these merits they be healed of any physical and mental ailments and overcome any obstacles to their spiritual progress. May they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the Noble Eightfold Path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbāna. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let's also transfer these merits to the Devas and Brahmas, spirits and demons, primarily the Sakradeva, as well as all the numerous gods and deities who are committed to protect and fulfill the Sambuddhasasana. Let's also transfer these merits to our guardian deities, who keep a watchful eye over us and keep us out of harm's way. May through the power of these merits they prosper in divine power and wisdom. May they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the Noble Eightfold Path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbāna. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let's also transfer these merits to our ancestors, all those who have predeceased us, all those who have been families and friends to us in this infinitely long journey of samsara. Let's also transfer these merits to all members of the armed forces as well as the police forces who have sacrificed their lives to protect the peace and harmony of our nation. May all those who lost their lives in the war, be they friend or foe, rejoice in the merits that we have acquired today. Let's also transfer these merits to all those who lost their lives in natural calamities such as tsunamis, earthquakes, landslides and pandemics, reminding ourselves that among them will be those who have been family and friends to us in this infinitely long journey of samsara. May through the power of these merits, if any of them have been born in the woeful plane, they redeem themselves and be born in a blissful plane. May they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the Noble Eightfold Path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbāna. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Finally, let us all resolve that may through power and blessings of all the merits that we have acquired throughout the day, we be able to witness the advent of many hundreds of thousands of Arahants on this blessed land, and may through the power of all the merits we have acquired today, you and I and everyone who has helped to make this program a success, become Aratanahanse and Aratmehinahanse in this very life itself and in the era of the Gautama Supreme Buddha itself. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now you will receive the blessings from the Mahasangha. රාගගින්නින් මිදෙත්වා ද්වේෂගින්නින් මිදෙත්වා මෝහගින්නින් මිදෙත්වා නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛයෙන් සුඛිතතර වෙත්වා නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛයෙන් සුඛිතතර වෙත්වා මමද සියලු ලෝක සියලු සත්වයෝ නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛයෙන් සුඛිතතර වෙත්වා නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛයෙන් සුඛිතතර වෙත්වා නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛයෙන් සුඛිතතර වෙත්වා රාගගිනි නිවේවා ද්වේෂගිනි නිවේවා මෝහගිනි නිවේවා නිවන් සැප ලැබේවා නිවන් සැප ලැබේවා නිවන් සැප ලැබේවා තුනුරුවන්ගේ සුවිසි අනන්ත මහා ගුණ වෙලෙන් සියලු ලෝක සියලු සත්වයෝ නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛින් සුඛිතර වෙත්වා සාදු සාදු